ask and it will be given to you. A few days ago, viewer Sticky Fingers asked for a Payday 2 video, and I shall give it to him. Enjoy! What's up guys, Rogue9 here, and as mentioned earlier, I've got some Payday 2 for you today. Up until very recently, the most popular video on my channel was a video exploring Payday 2 masks, specifically those worn during famous movie heist scenes. It's a fairly old video, and I think my editing techniques have come quite a way since then, but I'll leave you a link at the end of the video and in the description as well, just in case you want to go check it out. So the last video was about movie heist masks, and in this video I'll be expanding on that idea by looking at other masks that are also linked to famous or not so famous movies. In case you haven't seen any of these films yet, rest assured, spoilers will be avoided. And with that, let's finally get started. First up, we have the mask Collateral. Or maybe I should call them glasses, because it's not really a mask, is it? These glasses are worn by the in-game character John Wick, which of course is also the main protagonist in the 2014 action thriller John Wick, played by Keanu Reeves, but they actually allude to a different film, also by the same name, that is the name of the glasses, Collateral. This film was released in 2004 and co-stars Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx. Apart from having the same name as the film, the in-game description to the glasses also hints at the plot of Collateral. In the film, we can see these glasses worn by Tom Cruise's character Vincent, who is a hitman on a job in Los Angeles. An interesting side note here is that both the film John Wick and Collateral are part of the neo-noir genre. So if you haven't seen Collateral, the question you might ask is it worth watching? The film has very good reviews by movie critics and even better reviews from ordinary people, was nominated for over 20 TV and film awards, and can also be considered a financial success, having taken in more than 3 times its budget at the box office alone. So there is a strong consensus that this is a great film, and I can only recommend you make some time to take a look at it. And with that, on to the next mask. This mask is quite rare since it can only be unlocked by completing the 4th Nightmare achievement, and that in itself is only possible during the annual Halloween event. So there is only a small window of opportunity each year during which players can actually get their hands on it. And the mask is of course the Brazil Baby. The description of this mask is really not very helpful, but luckily the name of the mask is enough to make the connection to the 1985 science fiction film Brazil. This film was directed by Terry Gilliam, whom you might know from Monty Python or other films such as 12 Monkeys or Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. And despite having great and well-known actors such as Robert De Niro and Bob Hoskins, and being nominated for 2 separate Oscars, the film struggled to make back its budget despite performing well in Europe. Another interesting side note here is that Tom Cruise was actually considered for the leading role of Sam Lowry. As you can see, the Brazil Baby mask from Payday 2 is a very accurate replication of the mask worn by the character Jack Lint during a scene in which Sam is tortured and interrogated. Despite its initial lackluster financial performance, this film has nowadays reached a cult status and has outstanding reviews by both critics and regular viewers. Before doing my research for this video, I'd never even heard of this film, but it's definitely on my watch list now. Up next, we have the mask of the troubled war veteran. And as you might have been able to guess, this mask is a resemblance of the character John Rambo, who is the central figure in the film series of the same name. The description of the mask again gives us a strong hint here that leads us to Rambo, talking about a big muscled guy who started using a bow instead of modern weapons. The description isn't fully conclusive though, since it also mentions that the guy died pretty early on in the war, and this of course means that it can't be John Rambo since John Rambo survived the war. But I'm willing to discount this part of the description since it also contradicts the name of the mask. The name of the mask is Troubled War Veteran. Veteran means you fight in the war and then you survive. So yes, in conclusion, the Troubled War Veteran is John Rambo. The first installment of the Rambo trilogy is the 1982 film First Blood. It is interesting to note though that the iconic bow for which Rambo is known, and which is also mentioned in the mask's description, doesn't actually appear in the first film, but makes its first appearance in First Blood Part 2. And despite First Blood having been released almost 35 years ago, the story in the film has a surprisingly strong connection to current events. Nowadays, there's not a week that can go by without some form of news about American police abusing their power. And that is the core issue that drives the story of First Blood. All 4 films to date starred Sylvester Stallone as the iconic John Rambo, and the 2008 reboot not only starred Sylvester Stallone but was also co-written and directed by him. All 4 films of the series can be considered financial successes, although only the first film from 1982 actually has the high review ratings to go along with that success. The other 3 films, Rambo First Blood Part 2, Rambo 3, and then Rambo, have fairly poor reviews, so if you don't know any of the Rambo films and you want to see them, definitely start at the beginning, watch First Blood, and if you want to continue, that's up to you. Up next is the Venomoth mask, which is of course a reference to the xenomorph creatures from the Alien franchise. Once again, it's the mask's description here that provides the final proof. All 3 paragraphs of the description are very close to some of the dialogue from the second film in the series, Aliens, from 1986.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
Maybe we could build a fire, sing a couple of songs, huh? Why don't we try that?
We better get back, because it'll be dark soon, and they mostly come at night. Mostly.
Furthermore, there is a special achievement that requires you to wear the Venomoth mask and then silently kill 50 enemies using only melee attacks, called No One Can Hear You Scream. And this of course was the tagline used to promote the first Alien film from 1979, which was, in space, no one can hear you scream. The Alien movie franchise, as you probably know, is quite extensive, comprising 4 Alien films, which are Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, and Alien Resurrection. Then there is the prequel series, made up so far of Prometheus from 2012, but also including the upcoming Alien Covenant from 2017. And then finally there's also the spin-off / crossover franchise with the Predator series, Alien vs Predator from 2004 and Aliens vs Predator Requiem from 2007. All of the Alien films can be more or less classed as horror films, especially the original series, and this of course explains why the Venomoth mask is part of the annual Payday 2 Halloween event. All 4 Alien films, with the addition of Prometheus, can be considered financial successes, but especially Alien and Aliens, the first 2 films, did really well. Both of these films also have outstanding critic and regular viewer reviews, while the other 3 films sort of have mediocre scores. And to round it all off, the first 2 films even won 3 Oscars between them and were nominated for a further 6. If you haven't seen these films yet and you're into horror, maybe give them a go. And even though I've seen all of these films several times over, I'll probably be watching them again sometime soon. And before we move on, there's one last bit of info I'd like to share with you. Of course, the mask is called the Venomoth, and some clever heisters have discovered that if you apply the material piano black and the pattern good ol' Al with color black and white, you end up with a mask that looks like this. And this of course is a very close likeness to the supernatural character Venom from the Spider-Man comic book series, and he was also featured in the film Spider-Man 3. A pure coincidence? Maybe, maybe not. I'll let you decide. Last up for today, I'd like to present to you the Anonymous mask. Both the name and the description of this mask allude to the Anonymous hacker group. In 2008, 2 members of Anonymous gave an interview on the Canadian radio show Search Engine, and the mask's description references the way that these guys described their organization. Let's have a listen.
We just happen to be a group of people on the internet who need just kind of an outlet to do as we wish that we wouldn't be able to do in regular society. There's a common phrase, we're doing it for the lulz.
So I think this is clear evidence that the mask we see in the game is meant to reference the Guy Fawkes mask that Anonymous have chosen as their symbol. But having said that, the mask itself is not actually the same. The real-life Guy Fawkes mask is always depicted with a wide grin, while the one in-game is sad. And there is a very good reason behind this difference, and that is copyrights. And with that, we finally come full circle, since this video is really about movie masks. And although a lot of people nowadays might associate the Guy Fawkes mask with the hacker group Anonymous, the face on the mask is actually trademarked by Warner Brothers, since the mask was created for the 2006 film V for Vendetta. This film is a dystopian political thriller, which is quite interesting since that again forms a parallel to the earlier film we discussed, Brazil, which is a political satire that also plays in a dystopian future. The film stars Natalie Portman and Hugo Weaving, who is probably best known for his role as Agent Smith, and the screenplay was written by the Wachowskis, formerly known as the Wachowski brothers, and I think at that time they were still brothers. The main protagonist of the film, V, is a lone rebel fighting against the corrupt political establishment, and he does so wearing the now iconic Guy Fawkes mask, which has by now become the symbol of civil resistance we see in protests all over the world. The film was a financial success and has good critic reviews and even better viewer reviews, and it was nominated for a total of 21 awards, winning 3 of them. So again, as with almost all the other films mentioned in this video, if you haven't seen this film yet, there's a really good reason for you to check it out. And I think that's kind of a theme with all of the films that have inspired masks in Payday 2. They're not necessarily the newest, greatest blockbuster films around, and some of them might not even have been huge financial successes in their time, but all of them are worth watching. While doing my research on these Payday 2 masks, I found out that there are a lot of other masks as well that reference either films or books, comics, TV series, you name it. If you want me to cover the background of more Payday 2 masks in future videos, leave a like, leave a comment and let me know. And with that, as always guys, I hope you enjoyed the video and I will see you in the next episode.